Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're diving into a fascinating piece of history, a mysterious cover from 1938 addressed to a Mr. Kurt Boehme in then Qingdao, China, inviting him to vote on a German-Austrian Anschluss aboard a Hamburg-American line ship called Oldenburg. Is this cover evidence of overseas voting on the Anschluss referendum? Or with its relatively contrived appearance, could it be a forgery? Let's unravel this historical puzzle together. The Anschluss, meaning connection or annexation, was Nazi Germany's annexation of Austria on March 12, 1938. It was a pivotal moment in Hitler's vision of a Greater Germany. The idea of uniting Austria with Germany had roots in the 19th century, especially after the 1871 unification excluding Austria. By 1838, Austria was under pressure from Nazi sympathizers, and on March the 11th, Austrian Chancellor Kurt Schlussinger resigned, allowing the German Wehrmacht to cross the border the next day. A plebiscite was held on April 10, 1938, a plebiscite being a direct vote by the people on a specific issue or question, usually of national importance, unlike an election where people vote for representatives. In a plebiscite, citizens vote yes or no on a particular proposal. The annexation was ratified with a reported 99.7 yes votes, though under heavy Nazi coercion. So what would Qingdao in China have to do with the vote between Austria and Germany? Tsingtao, now Qingdao, was a German colony from 1898 to 1914, leaving a legacy of breweries like Tsingtao beer, European architecture, and a vibrant German expatriate community. Even after Japan occupied it in World War I, many Germans remained, maintaining cultural and economic ties to Germany, often through companies like the Hamburg-America line, which ran global shipping routes. At the time of this letter's posting, Japan had reoccupied the territory as part of the Second Sino-Japanese War. Now, the subject of the letter, Mr. Kurt Boehme, a prominent merchant in Qingdao's German community, was born in 1887, and he was a key figure in local business, deeply involved in trade and cultural affairs, and at one point he served as an agent for the Hamburg-America line itself, coordinating passenger and cargo services linking Qingdao's Germans to their homeland. His role and status make him a plausible recipient for an invitation to a significant event like an Anschluss vote. So traditionally, where we have the address portion, we can see instead purple typed print here, which is the invitation to Mr. Boehme, and this translates to vote on the reunification of Austria with the Reich and Reichstag elections on board the Hamburg-American line steamer Oldenburg, near Qingdao, China, April 14th, 1938. Yet the vote is after the official vote on April the 10th. How could this be? Well, let's look at the German overseas community's sympathies in Tsingtao at the time. Well, the National Socialist German Workers' Party, NSAPD, were active inside Tsingtao. There even existed a Hitler youth camp pictured here near the city, the picture showing a trumpeter sounding the wake-up call at the camp in the morning. In 1937, even the city's German consul, Einar Brachlow, who by this time was a member of the NSDAP, having joined on August 1, 1935, gave the local Chinese governor, Shen Hongli, a tour of the camp. Brachlow later wrote in a report to the German Foreign Ministry about the Chinese governor's reaction. He is personally deeply interested in the youth movement and has used the opportunity to show the camp to local Chinese youth organizations and demonstrate the educational methods of the Hitler Youth. So given the activities of the German community in the city, it's obvious that many were sympathetic to the Nazi Party. But was overseas voting in German former colonies and communities an occurrence? Would it have been counted in something like the Anschluss? Well, yes. The only officially sanctioned overseas vote occurred aboard the Wilhelm Gustloff on April 10, 1938. It anchored 3 miles off Tilbury, England, in international waters, ferrying 1,172 Germans and 806 Austrians from London to vote. With 1,968 yes votes and 10 no, it was a propaganda success. But the vote is 4 days past the official vote, you're no doubt saying, and this is true. Even if it did take place, it wouldn't have counted towards the Anschluss. Although not officially counted in Berlin, there is also a history of overseas sympathetic voting by expatriate German communities, with the Bundesarchive including reports from the Deutsche Volksblatt in Brazil showing symbolic voting in Porto Alegre and telegrams sent from Blumenau and to Berlin showing their support for the Anschluss. And the New York Times, an April 12th edition, states that there was a German-American Bund rally that featured a mock vote. This Qingdao cover, dated April 14th, 4 days after the official vote, likely reflects a similar sympathetic act by the local German community on a ship called Oldenburg, either dockside or perhaps somewhere in the China Sea. So the stationery cover is of the Hamburg America line, and having seen others I can confirm that the stationery is genuine. It is franked with a pair of 1937-38 4-cent green Sun Yat-sen issues, which have been surcharged with a 1 yuan value. These are both tied quite centrally with a dotted Tsingtao circular date stamp. Left of this is a purple American line de Oldenburg cachet as it appears. However, given the positioning of the cachet to the invite text and looking at the over-inking of the first word and the bottom right edge of the circular cachet, I'm of the opinion that these are one large machine or hand stamp. Now let's consider the ship Oldenburg. I have to admit I had a very difficult time finding details about this ship. It initially appeared that there was no record of a ship called Oldenburg operating under the Hamburg America line. However, there was a 1936-built SS Oldenburg cargo ship built by the Dutch Werft Hamburg operating under the Portuguese Dampfschiff Rinde company existing at the time, although that was nowhere near China. Now, I would have immediately discounted the ship for that reason. However, I then found a company printed postcard of what I would swear to be the SS Oldenburg, operated under that previously mentioned company, but bearing the Hamburg American Line logo, which was very confusing. Still, proceeding onwards, I discovered from a renowned ship record website that a ship called Oldenburg under the Hamburg America Line did in fact exist and could have been in Qingdao at the time of the cover, and that ship was built by the Schiffbau Gess MBH and Company at the Flensburg yard site, and it was launched in February 19th, 1923 and delivered June 19th, 1923. Although I do not have the shipping logs for the vessel, it is possible it visited China due to the Hamburg American Line having routes to China. The Oldenburg continued its service career until being sunk by a British submarine, HMS Sea Dog, off the coast of Norway in 1943. Finalising our analysis of the cover, we can see it was addressed to Mr. Boehme at a P.O. box, sadly not an address, but possible, with the reverse not featuring any marks apart from residue ink, perhaps from it lying on other letters. Although having no receiving mark, going to a P.O. box for a locally posted letter is also possible. Although you would hope for a sorting mark or a postman's mark, but that's not always present. So is this a forgery or the genuine article? Given the existing information and the undeniable genuine components of the item, and what I've seen in my own professional experience, and having found no other examples in the market or past auction records to suggest the work of a forger, I would say that this is evidence of overseas sympathy from German communities living in China for the Nazi Party and the 1938 Anschluss vote, perhaps adding to the historical record on this particular matter. I hope you enjoyed this interesting dive into postal history. Please like, comment and subscribe. See you on the next one.